What's going on, guys? Welcome to Inside the Horseshoe. My name is Matt, and should the Indianapolis Colts draft Brian Thomas Jr.? I'm going to give you guys my thoughts in just a minute. But before I do, if you're new, if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate if you would click that subscribe button. I am trying to get to 2,000 before the start of the upcoming season, so if you could help me get there, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, click the bell icon so you're notified when I upload a video or when I go live. If you like this video, smack that like button. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Would you want Brian Thomas or should the Colts look elsewhere? Let me know in the comments. And if you have a Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at horseshoe_pod. There's a link in the description down below. So this year's receiving class is fantastic. It's one of the best I've ever seen, and one of the more dynamic receivers in this class is Brian Thomas Jr. He was a number two receiver at LSU. Malik Neighbors was the number one receiver there, but for being a number two receiver, he put up some great numbers. 68 catches, 1,177 yards, 17 touchdowns. He also averaged 17.3 yards per catch. For a number two, that's insane. And honestly, for a number one receiver, those are really good numbers too. Dynamic receiver, that's what Brian Thomas is. He is really athletic, had a 9.97 RAS score. Pretty athletic. He's also big, 6'4", 205 pounds, and he's really fast too. Ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. He's also raw, so you're going to have to work with him a little bit. But again, for being raw, those are insane numbers. Just imagine once he's polished what his numbers are going to look like. I mean, it could be lethal. Very good receiver. Obviously, LSU's offense was great this past season, and he was a great piece to that offense. So, with that being said, should the Indianapolis Colts draft Brian Thomas Jr.? Now, if you bring in Brian Thomas, your offense will just be even better than what it currently is right now. But for me personally, I would prefer that the Colts go defense, whether that would be an edge rusher or that would be somebody in the secondary. That's what I think they should do in the first round. So I personally would not draft Brian Thomas Jr. And that might surprise you guys because, again, his numbers were really, really good at LSU for being a number two and raw receiver. But again, I would rather go defense. Now, if the Colts draft Brian Thomas Jr., am I going to be upset? No, I'm not going to be upset because he's a dynamic offensive weapon that you're going to add to this offense. And Shane Steichen, I know, is going to make great use of Brian Thomas. But again, I think the more concerning side of our team is defense. That is what I'm more concerned with, which is why I personally would focus on defense in round one because of how stacked this draft is, not just at receiver, but at other positions, you're going to get a really good defensive player in round one. Heck, you might get a really good one in round two, but I would rather draft a defensive guy in round one, and then I would go with receiver in round two. That's what I personally would do. Again, I'm not going to be upset if we bring in Brian Thomas, but I don't think receiver is what we should do in round one. I think edge rusher, secondary, that is what we should be addressing with our first round pick. But of course, I'm not making the selection. Chris Ballard is. This Colts front office is making that selection. So with that being said, would the Colts draft Brian Thomas Jr.? If they stay at 15, and Brian Thomas does not get drafted before 15. I absolutely believe the Colts would draft Brian Thomas Jr. And honestly, I think they will draft Brian Thomas Jr. Of course, it depends on Brock Bowers, but let's say Brock Bowers is taken. Yeah, I think the Colts will 1000% go with Brian Thomas Jr. And one reason why I think they would go receiver in round one is because Reggie Wayne has been at a lot of pro days. So has Bob Cooter, Jim Bob Cooter has also been at pro days. He's been at multiple, if I'm not mistaken. But I know Reggie Wayne has been at least what, three so far. He's been at LSU's. He's been at Texas. I think he went to Western Kentucky's. I could be wrong on that, but I know he's been to multiple different pro days. So I think they definitely are going to look at receiver with that first pick. I get the feeling if they stay put, that's what they're going to do. And unless Brock Bowers is taken, granted he's a tight end, but unless he's taken, I think they go Brian Thomas. Just again, he's a dynamic receiver who's raw, and I think Shane Steichen can develop him into a dominant receiver. So I personally believe the Colts will draft Brian Thomas Jr. if he's available and they stay at 15, but I don't think they should. I think they should go defense. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new, if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate if you would click that subscribe button. Also, click the bell icon. That way, you're notified when I upload a video or when I go live. If you like this video, smack the like button. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you have a Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at horseshoe_pod. There's a link in the description down below. So thank you very much for watching. I've been Matt, Bleed Blue, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you watch one of these other two videos. They're cool. Also, if you're new, please click the subscribe button as well as the bell icon. I greatly appreciate your support.